Thank you all for listening and watching my videos. Please subscribe and like my channel Master Coolits. Hoping that you will not skip my ads. It's a big help for me by not skipping it. Thank you so much. Dragon Shadow. The Rise.
The witch's jade-colored pupils widened as she stomped angrily. She dared not attack Zane as the divine statue was in his hands. The sword energy from before had already left a mark on the statue. She realized that the statue would break if they continued the battle. That meant she would have wasted her effort coming all the way to the Blood Demon Secret Land.
So, what do you want me to do? You don't expect me just to die here, do you?
She pursed her lips.
Swear to the inner demon that you'll never lay a finger on me.
You want me to swear to the inner demon that I'll never harm or hurt you? Jeez, I might as well just kill you now.
The witch was so enraged that she started to feel faint. The inner demon held much weight for all martial artists. Once they swore to it, they would have to keep their promises. Otherwise, the inner demon would break out and the martial arts core would be compromised. Therefore, making others swear by their inner demon was a safe way to ensure that their promises would not be broken. The witch, with a frustrated sigh, removed an ornate collar she was wearing. As the collar dropped to the ground, her form, her face, and her voice transformed.
Fine, you bastard! I, Rebecca, swear to the inner demon that I will not touch a single hair on you. There you go. Happy now?
What the hell? What kind of magic is this? Who are you really?
This is my real form, and my magic is beyond your comprehension. So stop asking questions.
Zane furrowed his brows in confusion. After waiting for a moment, he realized he would not get any more information from the transformed witch, who resembled a teenage girl. With his dragon blood sword in hand, he left the three-headed, six-armed statue unharmed. Rebecca immediately hurried over to check on the statue. She gently reached towards the sword mark that was carved earlier. Her expression changed in an instant.
Hold on, this isn't the real divine statue, but these incense sticks.
She drew herself closer to the incense sticks and took a deep breath. Shock fell on her face.
It's the primordial incense. How splendid!
While Zane was in a confused state, Rebecca, in her graceful figure, sat down and began her practice. After steadying her breathing, she let her body jive with the sense of the primordial incense, creating a peculiar sight to behold.
What is Rebecca doing? Isn't she afraid that I might suddenly attack her? Or is she overly confident of her own strength?
Billy then poked its furry head out to explain.
The primordial incense is an extraordinary treasure, Master. If you cultivate within the vicinity of the primordial incense, your speed will improve greatly, and you can also get rid of the bottleneck problem.
The bottleneck problem?
Zane's heart tightened upon hearing this. This meant that as long as one's vital energy reached a certain amount, one could break through easily with this. He could not believe that there was such a treasure in this world. Zane sat down immediately. He began to circulate the vital energy within his body before practicing the dragon annihilation art. He took in deep breaths of the primordial incense's scent, competing with Rebecca's actions. He circulated the energy of the dragon annihilation art from within, guiding the vital energy through the 8 extraordinary meridians. Layers of silver ripples spread like tidal waves, and the trees of the dark sky thunder grew. Since his cultivation of the Book of Divine Thunder, a tree had been rooted at the elixir field of the dark sky thunder. Every time he made a breakthrough within a level, a silver leaf with Venetian patterns similar to lightning grew. Zane had 19 leaves when he started meditating near the primordial incense. Though their value was unknown, they could prove useful in the coming days. Perhaps in the future, he would be able to unlock its secret after obtaining the Book of Divine Thunder. Suddenly, something sprouted out of one of the branches. It shook and out came a new leaf, freshly growing from it. Magnificent energy waves burst out from Zane's body, disrupting the airflow of the room. He had broken through the level.
This is amazing.
Zane exclaimed in surprise and delight. He did not expect to break through to the second level so quickly. Training within the vicinity of the primordial incense was easily 1,000 times more effective than usual.
If I could bring the primordial incense into the beast blood pool while refining my body with the blood essence at the same time, I would be able to achieve twice the cultivating result, all with halved effort.
No one could be sure whether Zane's breakthrough had caused 2/3 of the primordial incense to be consumed. This rendered the remaining 1/3 of the incense unusable. The vital energy in Rebecca's body rumbled as the outer layer of her body was surrounded by a black aura that was much purer than that of an ordinary Devil Flame sect disciple. Zane could tell that she was definitely not an ordinary disciple. Rebecca then opened her eyes. Although she did not manage to break through, her strength had increased by another level. She was surprised to see that Zane had broken through the level.
You've made a breakthrough? You're pretty talented for a pervert.
Pervert? When did I ever do anything to you? And hey, if you hadn't attacked me first, would I have come after you?
Rebecca's face, ears, and neck gushed in red, and her chest trembled as she yelled.
You shameless pervert! You hooligan! You jerk! If I hadn't made that promise, I'd kill you right now!
Well, can you still kill me now?
Zane was reserved when he was still at the first level of the intermediate level. With his breakthrough, his strength had increased.
I can do more than just hold my own now. I could even fight you to a standstill.
In that case, why don't we team up? With your new strength, you could join me at the Spirit Fusion Sect's base.
Spirit Fusion Sect's base?
Zane's spirits were immediately lifted.
If the primordial incense could appear at such an ordinary land, what other treasures awaited at the Spirit Fusion Sect's base? How could Rebecca be so kind as to propose such an offer? Is this some kind of trap? What's the catch, Rebecca?
Give me one of the 2 cultivation skills books you obtained. Just one. That's all I'm asking.
Rebecca was wide-eyed when she made the request. She then stretched her long, slender finger outward. She knew if she could exchange the Earth-level cultivation method and technique book with spirit crystals, they would be priceless. Especially since the Earth-level cultivation method and technique book could not be found within the 4 major cultivation academies. The temptation to join her was too great for Zane. His eyes flickered. He hesitated for a couple of minutes, then clenched his teeth and agreed.
Deal. But on one condition. I'll give you the book when we get there. How else can I trust you'll keep your word?
No way. I want it now. You might back out when we get there too. If you want to come with me, hand over the book now.
Rebecca rolled her eyes at Zane and retorted fearlessly. Zane was speechless. So much for trust. However, the itch in his mind to go to the Spirit Fusion Sect was too strong. Alas, Zane gave in and passed the book over to her. Rebecca gladly accepted it and left with Zane. It seemed she had another agenda as they headed in a certain direction. Even though he had his suspicions about Rebecca's familiarity with the Spirit Fusion Sect, he was sure that she knew a lot of secrets. Before long, a cliff appeared in front of them. Around 10 strange-looking blood corpses were shuffling about by it. As soon as they saw Zane and Rebecca, they charged towards them with mouths wide open. One by one, the blood corpses pounced over, their grotesque forms twisted in hunger.
Their weak spot is the heart. You deal with half, I'll take the other half.
Seeing this, Zane stretched his muscles and rushed in with the dragon blood sword in his hand.
Like I needed you to tell me that.
Rebecca let out a cold snort before emitting a dark light from her body. The black flame in her palm exploded as she continuously sent out 3 attacks. Zane waved his dragon blood sword and went into combat with a blood corpse. The sword's sharp blade struck its flesh as though striking steel. The sounds of metal clashing and clanging could be heard all over. The blood corpse bared its fangs in a grimace, a terrifying scene to behold. Since Zane knew about the opponent's weakness, killing them was easy. 10 minutes was all it took to defeat 5 of the blood demons. The blood corpses on Rebecca's side had perished as well. The 2 then walked to the edge of the cliff and looked down. The view from below stunned Zane. The bottom of the cliff was a magnificent galaxy. It was not dark and deep like other cliffs. Countless starlights were twinkling within. It was as though they were in the Milky Way, where occasional ripples could be seen as well.
What the hell is this?
Zane was absolutely astounded.
Wow, you really are from the sticks, huh? Inexperienced and unknowledgeable. This is the Serene River. If I'm right, there's something very important in it.
It was rumored that the Serene River was a fracture of the Milky Way, containing scattered fragments of the starry phenomenon. The fragments had been collected by an extremely powerful martial artist through various means before being placed within the sects or caves here. No one really knew what specific wonders the Serene River held, though one thing was sure, everyone was eager to go after the fragments.
So, what do we do now, Rebecca?
We jump in.
Right into it.
What? Are you afraid?
Rebecca tilted her head and shot Zane a sinister look, teasing him as if she had discovered something interesting about him.
Oh, hell no. I'm never scared of anything.
He looked deep into her eyes without blinking. In a matter of seconds, Rebecca blushed.
You pervert!
The two leaped off the cliff. As they were descending, they realized they could not fly.
What's going on? You've got to be kidding me.
Rebecca was clearly shocked as well, her jade-shaded eyes widening in disbelief.
I don't know. Stop asking me and just save yourself.
Rebecca hugged herself into a ball to reduce the area of impact when she came into contact with the surface of the Serene River. The impact of the two figures falling onto the ground stirred up huge waves. The fall from 200 meters without Vital Energy's protection sent intense pain all over Zane's body. His limbs and bones ached, as if they had been hammered over and over again. He floated onto the surface of the water and took a deep breath, his expression grim.
It's been more than 10 seconds since I jumped down, yet I still can't use my vital energy.
Rebecca also floated onto the surface of the river. She smelled better than before, with water droplets across her fair skin. She was as beautiful as a lotus flower. As their eyes met, they felt their hearts ignite with strange flames, a feeling they had not felt before.
What are you staring at, pervert? I'll poke your eyes out.
I'll look if I want to. What are you gonna do about that? Remember, you've made an oath.
Zane retorted.
I promised to not lay a finger on you back there. That doesn't mean I can't do it here.
Rebecca was already angry, yet Zane continued adding fuel to the fire, sparking her fury even more.
All right, bring it on. I'll stand still and let you hit me. Let's see what you've got.
The bickering made Rebecca even more furious. Seeing that there was nowhere else to vent her anger, she swam over to Zane and started a fight. Without their vital energy, they could only fight physically. Even without the support of their vital energy, their strength and physical qualities were still 10 times stronger than an ordinary person. Neither of them was giving in, and so the fight ensued. Rebecca was choking Zane with one hand and pinching his thigh with the other as she bit into his arm. Trails of blood from Zane's arm oozed into the river.
Ow! Hey, that's not fair.
Zane started getting angry as well. He decided to fight back. He held Rebecca's waist with one hand and pinched her cheeks with the other. The attack gave Rebecca tingles. She let out a soft moan, then clenched her teeth and cursed.
You pervert! Where do you think you're touching? Let go or I'll bite your hand off.
She then sunk her teeth deeper into his skin, letting blood continue to seep into the river, diluting its water.
You want to play rough? Fine by me. Let's see who cries first.
As he spoke, Zane shamelessly strengthened his grip. Rather than life and death combat, they seemed more like two children fighting. In the end, Rebecca surrendered.
Let go of me. I'll stop biting you.
Let's both let go at the same time.
Deal. 1, 2, 3.
They released each other after the countdown. Zane immediately checked his arm. Fortunately, his injury was not serious. Rebecca, on the other hand, was flustered all over. She was both furious and ashamed at how Zane had behaved with her. Zane clearly did not take the fight seriously. He was just taking advantage of the situation. It seemed to her that Zane learned nothing as a child but perverse behavior. It annoyed her deeply. The more Rebecca thought about it, the angrier she became. Awkwardness weighed heavily between them as they were surrounded by cliffs hundreds of meters tall. It would be impossible for them to climb up. They were greeted by the sight of the endless Serene River. They had no idea where the river even led to. Moreover, it was only after their descent that they realized the Milky Way they had seen earlier had long disappeared. The skies above the Serene River were pitch black. The lights around them were dim, and they could barely make out what was in front of them.
So, what should we do now?
I don't know.
The situation they were in was not optimistic. Although they were unable to use their vital energy, demonic beasts could still be lurking around. A demonic beast could appear at any time, threatening to have them killed.
How about we sort out our issues later and focus on getting out of here first?
Whatever, but keep your hands to yourself. I'm warning you.
It was obvious that Rebecca was scared. It wasn't easy for them to find a river beach where they could rest. When they did, they plopped onto the warm sand and rested for a while. Zane unconsciously glanced at Rebecca and saw that her clothes were partially translucent from being wet. One would have much to see inside if they took a closer look. After all, he was in his prime where hormones and strong physical urges ran high. It was inevitable for him not to want to take a second look. Still, he tried to calm himself down. He posed Rebecca a question.
Is this the big deal spirit fusion sect you were talking about?
Rebecca gave him a silent nod.
What kind of place is this? I can't use my vital energy. I can't fly. And there aren't even any treasures around.
The path they took was confusing like a maze. It was impossible for those of the Devil Flame sect to locate them. It would be disastrous for Zane if they did find them. Looking at Rebecca's grim expression, Zane was not sure what he could do. It seemed they had fallen into a deadlock. A chilly breeze surrounded the valley. Merged with the air between heaven and earth, the wind sounded as though it were a melody from a flute, its notes rising and falling gracefully. For a moment, Zane spaced out, enjoying the unique sensation spread across his mind and body. Suddenly, Rebecca seemed to have caught on to something. She hurriedly stood up in excitement.
That's it. It's all about wind power. The purpose of Serene River's existence is to teach us about the power of wind.
Rebecca closed her eyes, processing what she had just realized. However, she was interrupted by Zane's question.
The power of wind? What's that?
He had only heard of sword vigor, which could only be obtained after the art of sword had been cultivated to a certain level. But he had no clue about the power of wind. Rebecca could no longer use her vital energy. Zane wondered if she still could cultivate. Rebecca gave Zane a menacing laugh and teased him.
Curious, aren't we? Good, because I won't be telling you anything. I'm out of here as soon as I make sense of the power of the wind. As a pervert, you should stop wandering around and harming others. You should stay cooped up in here, waiting for your time to come.
Her words stunned Zane. He would be able to leave this place after comprehending the power of wind. But what exactly was this power? Zane was dumbfounded. Unfortunately, he had kept Billy in his spirit cultivation ring. Otherwise, he could have asked if it knew anything about it. Zane thought hard, turning his cogs for an idea to come through. Instead of getting angry, he laughed.
What are you laughing at?
Rebecca frowned.
I'm laughing at how dumb you are. Guess it's true what they say. The bigger the boobs, the smaller the brain.
Who do you think you are making fun of, asshole?
Anyone with big boobs and no brains. You really think you can figure out wind power all by yourself? If you can't manage to comprehend it by the end of the day, you will have to stay here with me for the rest of your life. As the Devil Flame Sex hottie, you'd make a decent wife. We could have a bunch of kids. It wouldn't be so boring then.
Zane sounded emotional and sincere, which irked Rebecca. Rebecca clenched her fist in teeth. As she glared at him, she stomped her feet and cursed.
What the hell are you talking about? As if I'd have your kids! You shameless jerk!
Zane was clearly taking advantage of Rebecca.
What if you can't figure it out for 10 or 20 years? Without your vital energy, your beauty will deteriorate, then you will eventually turn into a mortal. By then, I won't be into you anymore, and you'll be begging me to have a kid with you. I look forward to that day.
After saying all that, Zane lay down to rest. Rebecca frowned hard as her face flushed red. Comprehending the power of the universe was not something that could be done overnight. One would usually have to reach the advanced level to be able to interact with the power of the universe. She had yet to reach such cultivation, nor was she able to use her vital energy. If one were to comprehend it using the body of a mortal, it would take a few years, or perhaps even a few decades to do so. By then, one would already be too old to escape this torrid place. Perhaps she would end up like what Zane said about loneliness, becoming unbearable and having to birth his children.
No way! I can't let this pervert get away with this.
With a cold stare, she called out indifferently,
Come here! I'm only saying this once.
Upon hearing this, Zane immediately jumped over.
First, you gotta promise to help me if you were to figure out the power of wind one day.
What if you beat me to it first, witch?
Then I'll leave your sad ass here to die. Perverts serve no purpose anyway.
Zane went speechless. However, there was nothing he could do about it. Rebecca gave in after he swore to the inner demon. After Rebecca's explanation, Zane gained a better understanding of the power of the universe. The universe was filled with plenty of natural beings and things. Naturally, it had its own unique spirituality, making it the greatest mentor to all martial artists. Through observing the changes between heaven and earth, as well as the deduction of wind, rain, thunder, and lightning, one could theorize its characteristics and comprehend its artistic conception. This artistic conception was the power of the universe. Combining the power of the universe with cultivation methods or actual combats guaranteed the harnessing of great results. Other than the power of the universe, there were also powers comprehensible through hard work, such as Zane's sword radiance. The Black Abyss sword's strong radiance was harnessed by the Sword King's comprehension and cultivation of the art of sword. Once he reached the threshold of the power of the universe, his strength would increase greatly. However, to truly comprehend the power of the universe was a difficult feat. It usually would take a martial arts expert of the advanced level to touch it. At present, it was too ambitious of a task for the two.
The wind blowing through the valley, moving things around. It changes everything in the air. So, this is the perfect spot to learn about wind power.
Rebecca pointed at the top of the valley. After realizing that this was the best location to practice their comprehension, they shut their mouths without further hesitation and began to observe the wind in the valley. The breeze blew across the canyon like a gentle behemoth that raised its head to the sky, circling back and forth around the Serene River. Like little snakes, they integrated with the wind. Time passed slowly, and 3 days had passed with neither of them realizing it. Fortunately, the fish in the Serene River were edible, so they would not starve to death. 2 more days later, Zane's brows were still as tightly knitted together as they were before.
What am I missing? I feel like there's something I'm not getting.
He had been staring into the sky for the past few days, listening to the soft cries of the wind. Though he had some idea of what he was learning, he still couldn't fully comprehend it. Rebecca, who was beside him, made no further progress either. Her eyebrows never relaxed, not even for a moment. Unbeknownst to them, this was already their 35th day in the Serene River. They had stopped talking to each other on the 30th day. Rebecca had not taken even a single drop of water. Her facial complexion was a weak, pale color. 2 months later, they both had successfully accumulated a certain level of experience, but had yet to fully comprehend the power of the wind. All of a sudden, a gust of wind blew by. It descended from the sky and blew through the gap. It was light and quick, leaving no trace of its presence. It moved like a serpent, agile and mysterious, and as elegant as the wind. Zane finally felt it brush against his face.
I got it! The wind is light and can't be seen. We can't catch it or see it. That's it.
Zane's heavy and fatigued figure suddenly pointed forward. It was as though the weight of his entire body had completely disappeared as he stepped on the rocks on both sides in the air. He moved at a speed so great it was difficult to spot him with the naked eye. It was as if his body was the weight of a feather. With a whoosh, he rushed straight up from the bottom. Rebecca stood at one side of the river, completely shocked at this turn of events. She could not believe it, and her mouth trembled slightly as she spoke.
Zane figured out wind power before me? How's that possible? 2 months ago, he didn't know anything about how the world works.
Rebecca lifted her pale face toward the darkened sky above. Zane's figure had vanished from view, seemingly abandoning her. Panic gripped Rebecca as she scrambled to her feet, her voice breaking with desperation.
Zane, I'm still here. Don't leave me. Come back. Have you forgotten your oath to your inner demon?
Her cries echoed through the valley, met only by silence in Zane's apparent absence. With a soft thud, Rebecca collapsed to the ground, hope draining from her body and soul. The realization that Zane had seemingly abandoned her sank in. She faced the prospect of aging and dying alone in this desolate valley.
Who said anything about leaving you behind? I'm right here. Unlike some, I honor my promises.
Startled by his voice, Rebecca's head snapped up. A flicker of emotion crossed her eyes as she noticed Zane hovering midair.
Have you regained control of your vital energy?
The Serene River's purpose is to teach us to harness its power. Now that I've grasped it, my vital energy knows no bounds.
Rebecca's expression darkened at his words. She couldn't help but laugh bitterly at herself. Once she had considered herself a prodigy, but Zane had surpassed her in every way. The reversal of their fortunes was staggering.
Take me with you. We must leave this place.
Leave? To where?
Anywhere. I refuse to let you outshine me again.
As Zane lifted Rebecca from the Serene River, the vital energy restrictions on her body dissipated. Together, they leapt over the river and took flight. Having mastered the power of wind, Zane's flight speed had doubled. His movements were fluid and graceful. Even if he stood still, Rebecca might struggle to land a hit. The path ahead twisted and turned more than before. The stone walls were pockmarked with holes, clearly not of human origin. A bone-chilling roar echoed as 3 waves of blood corpses appeared. They fell swiftly to Rebecca's attacks, her fury lending strength to her blows. After nearly 3 hours of flight, they arrived at a vast open field. The area was barren save for a central, 3-headed, 6-armed stone statue, identical to the one they'd encountered earlier. The statue's eyes glowed with crimson light, its hair wild and unkempt. It exuded immense pressure, not of anger, but of raw power.
This statue again? Is there another primordial incense nearby?
No, this is the genuine divine statue, the warrior's soul of the spirit fusion sect.
Warrior soul? What does that mean?
Zane's expression turned solemn, caught off guard by this revelation. The warrior soul, he knew, was an evolved form of the essence pill, attainable only by martial artists who reached the advanced level. While warrior souls came in various forms, most resembled shadowy versions of their physical bodies. Warrior souls fell into 3 main categories. The first were demonic beast warrior souls, formed by absorbing a demonic beast's essence pill, transforming one's own essence pill into a beast-like form. The second, elemental warrior souls, resulted from absorbing the 5 elemental energies of heaven and earth. The third and most challenging were cultivation method warrior souls. These required mastery of a specific cultivation technique, pushing it to its absolute limits. Zane studied the statue intently, his mind processing this information.
If this truly is a warrior soul, it must be of the cultivation method variety. Advanced level opponents are far beyond our current abilities. What's your plan here?
He turned to Rebecca, awaiting her response.
You've taken enough advantage of me. Surely you can assist me this once without complaint.
Hold on. If you think I've taken advantage, you're welcome to return the favor. Where would you like to touch? Don't be shy. I'm offering...
As he spoke, Zane began to lift his clothing teasingly.
Shut up! You're such an asshole! Focus on the task at hand and help me deal with this.
Rebecca let out an exasperated snort before pressing her hand against a specific point on the statue. A resounding crack echoed through the chamber as a large rock dislodged, followed by a cascade of smaller stones. The surrounding mountains and earth trembled violently, unleashing a cacophony of deafening sounds. The colossal 10-meter statue before them suddenly animated. Its 6 arms tensed, and the 3 heads began to rotate ominously. It emanated power equivalent to a 7th stage intermediate level practitioner.
Oh, fuck.
A strange cry escaped the statue as a powerful scarlet energy wave hurled them back more than 10 meters. The impact instantly carved 2 deep trenches in the surrounding rocks. The stone within continued to radiate heat under the energy's influence. Zane drew in a sharp breath, utterly astounded by the display.
Is this truly the might of a 7th stage intermediate level? The spirit fusion sex warrior soul is terrifying.
Heat waves shimmered all around, raising the temperature of the entire field by several degrees. The statue's throat emitted a thunderous roar. It sounded like an enraged demonic beast.
Help me restrain the statue. I'll find a way to neutralize it.
Restrain it? Are you insane?
Zane's eyes widened in disbelief. Had he misheard, or had Rebecca lost her mind?
If you're so keen on restraining it, be my guest. I'm not risking my life for this madness.
Without hesitation, Zane took off at an astonishing speed, effortlessly evading the statue's attacks and flying debris. He bolted towards the exit without so much as a backward glance at Rebecca.
You cowardly bastard!
Rebecca's teeth clenched, her eyes wide with fury as she watched Zane's retreating form.
Hey, what about the treasure? I'll split it with you, half and half.
No thanks. What good is treasure if I'm dead? Keep it all.
Zane didn't even turn his head. His mastery of wind energy made his movements fluid and graceful. The warrior's soul's 6 arms unleashed a barrage of knives, spears, and halberds towards Rebecca. She narrowly dodged, witnessing the weapons carve a 2-meter-deep crater in the ground. Even so, she was forced to roll across the ground, her fair skin marred by scrapes and blood.
Devil Sky Hand.
Dark energy erupted from her palm, clashing directly with the warrior's soul. Her attack was instantly repelled, and a fresh volley of massive weapons rained down from all directions. As the weapons collided with Rebecca's dark energy shield, a terrifying pressure engulfed her entire body. She coughed violently, spitting out a mouthful of blood.
Damn it all. It's too powerful. I can't believe that bastard Zane abandoned me at the crucial moment. He's nothing but a heartless, perverted coward.
Just as she struggled to maintain her defense, a silver streak of sword energy sliced through the air, striking the warrior's soul statue. Zane reappeared, his movements as graceful as the wind itself. Without hesitation, he scooped Rebecca into his arms, seemingly unconcerned about any accusations of impropriety. He set her down gently before stepping back.
I thought you were leaving. Why did you return?
Didn't you call me a pervert? But think carefully. Have I ever actually done anything inappropriate?
Rebecca rolled her eyes, not in the mood for his banter. They had a more pressing issue to address.
What's your plan? This is a 7th stage intermediate level warrior soul. One wrong move and we're finished.
Don't worry. Keep it occupied for 5 minutes. I'll handle the rest.
Zane studied Rebecca's face, a glimmer of hope rising within him as he sensed she had a strategy in mind.